Hello everyone and welcome back to Planet Joe. I'm Jordan and today is the first video of my 2021 planning series, which isn't going to be a whole lot of videos necessarily, but there are a couple that I want to do. Like next week I'm going to do a video about my goal setting, which is definitely a bit more structured than this video. This video is just an abstract thing that I do at the very beginning of my goal setting for the next year, and that is create a vision board, a digital vision board, which I kind of see as the digital version of like a collage that people used to make in like the 90s or 2000s, or even before that, and you would cut up all of these pictures in magazines or photos that you had of you and your friends, and you would paste them onto a poster and then hang it up in your room. It's kind of like a digital version of that. I'm using the app SketchBook, which is a free app on the iPad for iOS, and it's totally possible to do something like this on Procreate, but at the time last year I wasn't really willing to get Procreate for myself yet, so I downloaded this app. I did a lot of research and I actually really like it. I used it to make my vision board from last year, which I'll show you right here. And I really liked it. I wanted to show that it would be possible to do something like this with a free version. I know Procreate is super popular, but if you want to test something else out first, definitely give this one a shot. And you could also make something like this on a desktop computer with Photoshop, or if you don't have access to Adobe, then maybe something like the website Photopea, which I used a lot, and I will link that in the description. It's really good. It is website based, so it doesn't necessarily save everything for you in the way Photoshop would, but you're still able to save things that you create and open from your computer, that sort of thing. It's just not as integrated as Photoshop. But if you know how to use Photoshop or something like it, then you'll definitely be able to navigate that. So, just a little bit about how I do my vision board. It is not very structured. I don't have a list of things that I want to include. I just sort of start pinning things to a Pinterest board called 2021 Vision a few months ahead of time. And then I will go through and screenshot everything. I want to be very clear that all of the things that I'm screenshotting on Pinterest, I am not selling this art anywhere, this thing that I'm creating. All of the rights go to the original photographers or illustrators of the stuff that I am screenshotting, and that's really important when you create something like this, that you're not using any of the things that you're creating for profit. I would definitely check other things like Unsplash, where you can get photos that are able to be shared. If you're going to have this somewhere else, even if you're going to post it on Instagram, I would really recommend using things where the artists have said, hey, you can use this. Alright, so that was a lot of intro, but I hope you enjoy the video and give it a thumbs up and comment if you'd like to see more videos like this. Alright, so I am on Pinterest and I have my 2021 vision board, which is where I collect all of my ideas, and I think I need a few more, so I go up to the more ideas and I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and these are pins that are similar to the things that I've already pinned in this board, which is really helpful. I recommend it with any of your Pinterest boards, but now I just search up at the top a woman reading, because reading is one of my goals, and so I pin that and then I keep going, keep looking. I'm not going to use all of these, but I start screenshotting everything just so I have a good amount of images to work with for my vision board. And the way I see this is kind of like, back in, the early 2000s or even the 90s, where people would cut up magazines to make collages. That's kind of how I see this, just a more digital version. And so I'm screenshotting everything, and I go into this PS board that I have, which is short for Photoshop, where I save like textures or little images that I can use as embellishments to the final product. And if you don't see some of the things that I end up using, that's because I already had them. I taught myself Photoshop in high school, and so I have a lot of leftover textures and images that I will be using in these kinds of projects. So now I'm just searching the astrology aesthetic and screenshotting a final thing, and once I have all of that, I go over to my desktop and open the Finder window, so I'm able to airdrop all of these images to my iPad. And you just do that by clicking and dragging with your iPad open and nearby, unlocked I should say, and then you drag it and all of these images go over into my photos. So as I said in the intro, I'm doing this all on the app called SketchBook. You can also do it in Photoshop on an iPad or a laptop or computer, and Procreate as well. This is a free app, so it doesn't have as many of the features as something like Procreate or Photoshop would, which is why I'm having to go through and erase all of these backgrounds by hand. But it does work, and I have Procreate on my Christmas list, but I just wanted to show this video and show that making something like this was possible in a free app. And I really like it. I use it quite often for a variety of different projects, and I feel like it works pretty well. But again, I already have a knowledge of Photoshop, so that's probably why this is so intuitive to me. So this image is a man and a woman having like a little photo shoot. That's something that I wanted to do this year, but obviously we weren't able to with COVID. So hopefully next year we will be able to do something like that. And then the woman with the moon, that just kind of symbolizes me getting more in tune with nature and all of that. I also just really liked the illustration. I thought it was really pretty. And then this one, I want to start writing letters more. Now that I've graduated from college, my friends are scattered all over the country and all over the world, so writing letters was something that really brought us close together, and it's a lot more personal than a text or an email or a DM. So that is something that I want to keep doing. I also think with the COVID restrictions, it kind of inspired me to be doing that a lot this year. As you can see, I'm erasing all of these tiny little white spots by hand. I got very picky and then very tired and frustrated with it, so I just stopped and went on to the bigger parts. But yeah, I think writing letters is something that helps me stay connected with family and friends, especially in this hard time. Plus, I like practicing my handwriting and just sending some people like little personalized notes, which is really nice. I also love the flowers, as you can tell, and as you'll be able to tell in all of the images that I pick. I really love florals, and poppies are one of my favorite flowers, which is this red flower right here. I think this photo for me also symbolizes like me wanting to get more into art and illustration. I think that painting and drawing really relaxes me, but I don't do it nearly enough. So I liked the style of this art, and I think it'll help me keep that more in mind. So now once I'm done erasing these little vases, I'm able to move them so that they're closer. Without all of that white space, it kind of looked awkward that they were so far apart. And then this is a little quote that will, I think, remind me to have an abundance mindset, which if you've looked at all into abundance versus scarcity mindset, that's something that I've been doing, and I feel as though it's helped me a lot just be more optimistic and I think less anxious. So that's what that quote is. And then these two images, the ones that I'm going to be adding here, I would like to get another tattoo on my thigh of flowers, which would be my second flower tattoo, but I have a brand, so it's fine. And obviously with COVID, I wasn't able to get that tattoo this year, but hopefully next year when it is safe again to do those sorts of things, I will be able to do that. And so this is one of those textures that I was talking about that I already had saved, so I'm just erasing the background, and I will eventually change the color of it too, just to make it a bit more in alignment with the rest of the color scheme. And then this illustration is a woman with tea and books and flowers. I would really like to start reading more this year. I feel like I say that every single year. And I read so much as a child that it is really hard for me to accept that I don't read nearly as much now. So that is definitely one of my highest goals. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about how I do my goal setting for 2021. I like to do this bit first just because it's looser, it helps me start thinking about my goals, and it's a lot less structured. I'm allowed to be freer and more artistic. And then next week when I go over my actual goal settings, there's a lot more journaling involved, a lot more deep thinking, whereas this is kind of just an overview, some things that I want to buy, some ideas, and even like just vibes that I want to carry into the new year with me. So now I have this little frame and I am erasing the outlines, which is horribly tedious, but then I have this woman who's holding some books, and I didn't like that it said unconditional, so I just ended up writing planner in my own handwriting with my Apple Pencil, and I liked the way that looked, so I changed the blending mode of the layer and erased the stuff that didn't fall in the frame, which ended up looking really cute. I liked how this ended up looking like an old-timey piece of paper. So yeah, now I'm just trying to use the oval erasing tool. There's a lot of different things that I feel would definitely be easier if I had one of the other apps, but I wanted to show that this works just as well. So once that's done, I end up moving it over to the other side. Another thing to be noted about this app is that if you have an image that ends up getting cut off once you're done moving, that part of the image will not stay intact. It will stay cut off, which is kind of frustrating. But you'll see that in action in a little bit once I work on all of the placement of everything. And so this image is a little cat who looks just like my cat, actually, and so I'm just erasing that background. She's one of the most important things in my life, which is why I like to have a picture of her in my vision board, just to remind myself, like, keeping her happy and healthy is one of the most important things that I can do. So now I have another texture, and I take that and erase the big planet in the background just because I only want the dots. But this goal is I would like to buy bed linens for my boyfriend and I. Our current bed linens are just, they're pretty cheap because we bought them when we were in college, and it was just like, we just need something to put on the bed, and we didn't expect real nice bed linens to be so expensive. But there's a company that I really like, Magic Linen, which I'm not sure. These sheets in here look very similar to that, but I will link them in the description. And then this picture is to remind me that I would like to go on a road trip next year at some point. I'm not sure if I will be comfortable to fly yet, but I really, really miss traveling. So including this will just remind me that hopefully at some point next year I will be able to go drive somewhere with my boyfriend. And that's why I'm in the passenger seat. He usually does all of the driving. So now I'm just working on the positioning, and making sure everything looks balanced is really important to me. So then I end up adding in a couple more textures, like these transparent flower stickers. I try and figure out where I would like them to go. I liked these ones as kind of like a little frame to the car. And now I'm just really working on all of this positioning and getting everything looking how I want it to. And I'm adding in 2021, so I'm able to see that. I like having the year just so I'm able to look back at these and remember, oh, hey, I was able to do that this year. I wasn't able to do that this year. And now I'm trying to figure out if I'd like to write out 2021 with my own handwriting, but I didn't like how that looked, so I tried writing out a quote, and I didn't really like how that looked either. So eventually I just ended up typing it out. And this quote is from Helen Keller. It says, "You still have a lot of time to make yourself what you want to be." And that's kind of the idea that I want to have behind this year, curating my own life and not feeling super pressured, but at the same time making my life how I would like it to be. So now I'm just repositioning everything and adding in my final picture, which is a record player. Again, like I said, this isn't necessarily big overarching goals. It's more abstract and just something to look at every single day. So this is, I've had the idea recently that I would like to buy a record player. And honestly, that's just because of the last 2 Taylor Swift albums. I've been reminded that I really love listening to music in album format, so having some of my favorite albums of all time on vinyl would be really special to me. So once that's all done, I end up fixing all of the positioning, and once everything is perfect, I add the filter on my phone in VSCO, and here is what it looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and keep an eye out for next week when I go over my 2021 goals. Bye!